I'm sorry, Australia, but Singapore have taken the title of Best Pedestrian Crossing Button in the world off you guys. And I'm sure you're devastated, but we should probably find out what makes it so special, right?
I'm in Singapore, and this is the best pedestrian crossing button in the world.
I would say it is exactly the same. So this bit looks exactly the same, except they've added the top bit. That must be what makes it extra special, right?
And here's why. This has been designed for accessibility. So if you're vision impaired, then there's some signals to help you cross the road. It can make a beeping sound to let you know where it is, and another sound to let you know when to cross. There's a tactile arrow, which gives you directions about where to cross. And if you're both hard of hearing and have vision impairment, then this panel can vibrate, giving you another indication about when to go.
It is, what is cool about it is that it's accessible for everyone. You know, because, so my uncle, who's not with us anymore, he was blind. And I think it was what they say is like 1%. So you can see blurs. But he could remember his routes. And things like this would have been brilliant for him. You know, to know the directions, to hear the sounds, would have been perfect. But what have they done extra?
Now you might know some of this stuff. Maybe because you live in Australia or Ireland or some other country where this is being used. Because it was invented in Australia. Or maybe you watched a great video that explains this in a lot more detail.
That was me watching that video.
But here in Singapore, they've taken this design to the next level. And here's what they've done. To understand what they've done with the design of the button, you need to know a bit more about the context of Singapore. So Singapore is a city-state. That is, everyone lives in an urban area. Now, another feature about the population is that it's getting a lot older. Back in the 1960s, the median age was around 19 years old. Today, that's just hit 42 years.
Whoa.
And
like we're talking about other things here, but from going from the median age to being 19 to now 42. Whoa, that is a really aging population. If you're watching this and you're from Singapore, because I know I've got some people from Singapore that watch my videos, do you notice this out of interest? Do you notice that the average age is going up? Do you see a lot more older people and less young people? That'd be interesting to know.
And there are more and more people living into their 60s, 70s, 80s and beyond. So Singapore doesn't only have to design a button that works for the elderly, but an entire city. So I've come to Bukit Mirror View to show you how they're doing just that. This is the site of Singapore's first silver zone, an area designed explicitly for older people. I'm going to show you some of the design features about it, but this is an idea that's catching on and popping up across the city.
I would say I don't know if I'd like the term silver zone for basically a place where old people go. I'm not sure. You know when you get actors and TV presenters like Philip Schofield, and people would call him the Silver Fox because they think he's a bit dishy and he's got grey hair. And I don't know if it's a compliment or not, especially in this sense.
You'll see these signs as you enter the neighbourhood, and some of the key features to improve the safety is just the slowing down of cars. So the major ways that this is achieved is having lower speed limits and then having roads that don't run straight. This horizontal deflection slows cars down, and in addition to this, there are also speed humps. Now, another feature about the silver zones are these pedestrian crossings, and they've been designed to make it easier for the residents. First, you'll notice that they're raised, so this achieves a couple of things. Firstly, you don't have to step down into the road, which is much easier if you've got mobility issues, including being in a wheelchair. It also makes it clear to drivers that this is a pedestrian space, and they need to slow and give way. Another feature is, normally when you cross a road, you do it all in one go. But what they've done here is they've put in these medians. And what that does is it allows people to cross half the road, take a pause, take a break, and cross when they're ready.
Looking at things like this, I think this is a good idea for a pedestrian zone anyway, whether it's for elderly people or not. You know, so many cities now are trying to become car-free as much as possible. And actually, by having these sort of measures, so for example, the zigzag roads, it makes cars slow down. Having the raised pedestrian crossings, one, it makes cars slow down because they've got to watch out for pedestrians, but also they're going over a speed hump. And you obviously don't want to go too extreme, but actually this is the sort of idea that can be brought into any city that wants to pedestrianise rather than having lots and lots of cars. So clever, very clever idea. Simple things, but work well.
and cross when they're ready. As mentioned, one of the challenges is crossing the entire road in one go, and that brings us back to the pedestrian crossing button. And the system they've developed is called Green Man Plus, and the basic idea is this. While the road is the constant length, people cross at different speeds, and older people are more likely to need a longer time to cross the road. And the system they came up with is pretty clever and pretty simple. To explain how it works, I'm going to show you this video that the Singapore government put together.
I'm going to make a guess. I'm going to make a guess before he says. I'm going to assume if you're an elderly person that struggles, you have something, because you saw there was a bit on the top, wasn't it? Maybe you've got something you can tap onto there, or it recognises that you're elderly, and therefore it will make the traffic lights turn red for longer. That's my guess.
Together. But a quick aside, people love pushing this button. It feels really good. Now, in this video, the kid's concerned that she might break it, but he doesn't have to worry. It turns out there's some clever design inside this button. Rather than physically making contact, like most buttons, inside is a magnet on a rail. So it doesn't matter how hard or soft you push, it never makes physical contact, making this button incredibly robust. Now, back to the video.
Wow, Kong Kong, I hope someone can help me cross more easily.
Actually, there is something to help. The Green Man Plus.
What's that? How does it work?
All the Kong Kongs and Paw Paws just have to tap their concession card here. After tapping, the red light will appear. Then at the next crossing, they will have more time to cross.
And the basic idea is that while the road is a fixed length, people's crossing speed will vary. And people that are older might need more time to cross the road. So the way it works is they can swipe their card. What that does is it lets the system know that there's someone who wants a bit longer to cross the road. And what happens is when the light changes, they'll be given extra time. Now that time will vary depending on the width of the road, from a couple of extra seconds to around 13 extra seconds. And it's not just the elderly that might need extra time. It could apply for people with disabilities or have other mobility issues. And they also have their own card and gives them the extra time. So I think Singapore might have the world's best pedestrian crossing buttons, until I find someone who's got a better one. Thanks for watching. I've been Julian O'Shea. Please do subscribe if you enjoyed this. It's been great to travel to Singapore and explore some cool designs elsewhere. Take care.
I watched that world's largest greenhouse works backwards. I watched that. Incredible. So what they've done basically is, so the Australian one is catering for normal people, that sounds wrong. People without any problems, disabilities or anything like that. Works for them easy, just press the button. It works for disabled people such as hard of hearing and can't see, visually impaired. And that's more or less it. But what this is doing, what the Singapore extra version is doing, is it's allowing the extra time for the elderly as well, because you don't think about them. But actually, the points Julian O'Shea made is spot on. Sometimes they need longer to cross. By linking it with the raised crossings as well is so clever. And obviously, if certain people in society have these cards and all they do is tap and it means that the red light will last for longer, I think that's a sensible thing. And that is, I will go as far as saying that is genius. I think that is fantastic so you're not excluding people, basically, isn't it? You know, people that will struggle to cross, you're sorted. So I think I agree with Julian O'Shea in that Singapore has taken the title of the best, I call it pedestrian crossing, you may call it crosswalk button. Pedestrian crossing button's much better, in my opinion, because that's what I say. It's my channel. I think they take the title for the best pedestrian crossing button in the world. And I don't think it'll be beaten. I do not think it'll be beaten. Thank you, Julian O'Shea. Amazing videos, this man. Full of education, interesting facts. This guy is brilliant, so make sure you check him out as well. If you enjoyed the video and my reaction to it, make sure you like and subscribe. And I will catch you next time.